the professor of political science at Hiram College in Ohio. So thanks for being on the show again, Jason. And you're going to be with us for a while here because a lot to talk about. So first of all, you're going to be one of our social commentators. Tell us more about what your goal is in all of this.
Well, my goal is to really look at the larger impact of this trial. You know, certain trials we go through, it may change state law, it may change federal law, but this is really going to be about the perception. How does the crowd view it? How does America view this situation? Is it from guns? Is it from a racial perspective, a family perspective? That's what I'm really bringing to the table.
What I find the most interesting is just how emotionally charged this case is. Is that something you're going to be watching as well? Because you have the whole racial undertone, which is huge. Well,
there's the racial cleavage. There's even a family cleavage. I found that people who have young children view this differently than people who may be older and their children are already out of the house. And so I think there's a lot of elements to it that we'll really be paying attention to.
How do you think this trial is going to be affecting everyone watching?
I think a lot, emotionally. I mean, look, when you hear the testimony from Trayvon Martin's parents, when you hear the testimony from George Zimmerman, there's no way that you can't be affected one way or another. And I think there's going to be people who are throwing shoes at the screen. I think there's going to be a lot of angry tweeting. I think there's going to be a lot of compassionate responses. So I think America is really going to be riveted by this case.
I want to ask you about this, about the Jodi Arias trial with Casey Anthony, that trial going on, all the people gathering outside. We've already seen, you know, marches being held outside of the courtroom, of course. What do you think the response, what do you anticipate it to be with, you know, outside the courtroom?
There's got to be a lot of effort put forward. I mean, there's basically a demilitarized zone between the pro-Martin and the pro-George Zimmerman crowd. So there's going to be a lot of effort. There are local pastors who've been given seats within the trial to make sure that there's no racial tension. So I think there's going to be a lot of effort on the part of police to not have people get that angry. I don't think we're going to have an OJ response at the end with people cheering and jumping up and down, but I do think when this trial is eventually over, America is really going to be breathing a sigh of relief.
And let me ask you this. Do you call this a white and black issue as far as, you know, the whole racial thing goes? I'm just going to, you know, put it right out there. Or is he Hispanic like the family says he is?
It's really interesting. It depends on what part of the country you're in. When I showed the picture of George Zimmerman to my students in Ohio, these are small Midwestern kids, and they said, oh, a Hispanic guy killed a black guy. We don't understand the racial issue. So it depends on what part of the country you're in as to whether George Zimmerman is considered white or Latino or even how Trayvon Martin is looked at. So I don't think the racial cleavages here are as simple as sometimes we perceive them.
All right, Jason Johnson, that's for sure. We'll talk a whole lot more in the weeks ahead. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is the trial that you have to see for yourself to decide.